The summer afternoon was quiet and warm in Cedar Falls, Kansas. The sun was bright in the blue sky. Birds sang in the trees. It was the kind of day where nothing bad could ever happen. Lily was 8 years old. She had brown hair that her mother tied in 2 braids every morning. She was playing in her backyard, making a house out of sticks for her toy rabbit. Her mother was inside cooking dinner. Her father was fixing the fence near the garden. Everything was normal. Everything was safe. Then the sky changed. Lily looked up when she heard the sound. It was deep and loud, like thunder that would not stop. But there were no clouds. Instead, she saw something else. Dark shapes were coming down from above. They were huge, bigger than anything she had ever seen. They blocked out the sun. Her father dropped his hammer. Her mother ran out of the house. They both looked up at the sky with fear on their faces. "Get inside," her father said. His voice was shaking. "Get inside now." But it was already too late. The ships came down fast. They were black and sharp, like knives cutting through the air. Fire came from them, hitting buildings and cars and trees. Lily heard screams from somewhere far away, then screams from somewhere close. Her mother grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the house. Her father was running behind them. But before they could reach the door, something landed in their yard. It was a smaller ship, and the door opened. Lily saw them for the first time. They were tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms. Their eyes were black and empty, like holes in their faces. They wore armor that looked like it was made of bones. They carried weapons that glowed with blue light. One of them pointed at Lily's father and fired. He fell and did not get up. Lily's mother screamed. She pushed Lily behind her and stood in front of her daughter. She had no weapon. She had nothing, but she stood there anyway. They fired again. Lily was alone. She did not understand what was happening. Her mind could not accept it. She just stood there in the yard, looking at her parents on the ground, while the world burned around her. Then someone grabbed her. She tried to scream, but a hand covered her mouth. A voice spoke in her ear, low and calm. "Do not make a sound. I am going to get you out of here. Do you understand?" Lily nodded. She did not know why she trusted the voice. Maybe because it was the only human voice she could hear anymore. The man carried her away from the yard. He moved fast but quiet, keeping to the shadows between the burning houses. Lily could see his face now. He was maybe 30 years old, with short dark hair and a hard face. He had scars on his hands. His eyes were sharp and always moving, looking for danger. His name was Danny Vega. He was a soldier, a ranger in the United States Army. He had come to Cedar Falls to visit his sister and her family. Now his sister was dead. Her husband was dead. Their children were dead. Everyone on the street was dead. But this little girl was alive, and Danny was going to keep her that way. They called him Honey Badger in his unit. It was not just a name. It was a warning. Danny Vega did not know how to quit. He did not know how to give up. He did not know how to stop fighting until the fight was over. His friends said he was too stubborn to die. His enemies learned the same thing the hard way. Now he held this child in his arms and made a promise to himself. Not a promise spoken out loud. Just a decision, hard as stone, that settled into his heart. Whatever came next, whatever monsters or armies or generals tried to stop him, he would keep this girl safe. He would not let her go. The town was chaos. They were everywhere, moving through the streets in groups, killing anyone they found. Their ships flew overhead, burning everything that was still standing. Danny could hear gunfire in the distance. Some people were fighting back, but the sounds of fighting did not last long. Danny kept moving. He knew these streets. He had walked them as a child, visiting his grandmother who lived here long ago. He knew which alleys to take, which fences had holes, which buildings had basements. He used everything he knew to stay ahead of the aliens. Lily did not speak. She did not cry. She just held onto Danny's shirt with both hands and buried her face in his shoulder. She was in shock. Danny had seen it before in war zones. The mind shut down to protect itself from things too terrible to accept. "It is okay," Danny whispered to her as he moved. "I have you. I am not going to let anything happen to you." He did not know if she heard him, but he said it anyway. By the time the sun set, the town of Cedar Falls was gone. Everything was fire and smoke and death. Danny had made it to the edge of town, hiding in a drainage ditch with Lily still in his arms. He could see the alien ships landing in the distance, more and more of them, bringing more soldiers to finish what they had started. This was not just an attack, this was an invasion. Danny looked down at the little girl in his arms. She had fallen asleep from exhaustion, her small fingers still holding his shirt. Her face was dirty and streaked with tears she did not remember crying. He did not know her name yet. He did not know anything about her except that she was alone and afraid and had no one else in the world. But he knew one thing for certain. He had her now, and he was not going to let go. Around them, the night was filled with the sounds of the alien army. Ships flew overhead. Searchlights cut through the darkness. Strange voices shouted orders in a language no human could understand. Danny held Lily close and waited for the darkness to hide them completely. Then he started moving again, heading south, away from the town, away from the death, toward something he hoped was still there. Hoping. He did not know if he would find it. He did not know if there was anywhere safe left on Earth. He did not know if humanity could survive what was coming. But he knew himself. He knew what he was. He was a honey badger. And honey badgers do not quit. 3 weeks had passed since the sky burned. Danny and Lily moved through a world that was broken. The cities were gone, turned to ash and rubble by the warships. The highways were empty except for burned cars and bodies. The fields were quiet. No birds sang anymore. They had all flown away or died. The Now controlled everything. Their soldiers walked the roads in groups, hunting for survivors. Their ships flew across the sky day and night, watching. Anyone they found was taken away to places called processing camps. No one knew what happened inside those camps. No one who went in ever came out. Danny learned to move at night and hide during the day. He found food in abandoned houses and stores. He found water in streams and rainwater collectors. He taught Lily how to survive. "When I say run, you run," he told her. "Do not stop, do not look back, just run until I find you." Lily nodded. She was learning fast. She had to. She had started talking again after the first week. Her voice was small and quiet, but it was there. She told Danny her name. She told him about her parents, about her school, about her toy rabbit that she had to leave behind. Danny listened to every word. He answered her questions when he could. When she asked about her parents, he told her the truth as gently as he could. "They are gone," he said. "I am sorry, but I am here, and I am going to take care of you." Lily cried that night. Danny held her until she stopped. On the 18th day, they found. She was hiding in the back of a pharmacy when Danny found her. She was hurt, with a deep cut on her arm that was getting infected. She had been a paramedic before the invasion, working on an ambulance in a small town nearby. Now she was alone and dying. Danny could have left her. He had Lily to think about. Another person meant more danger, more noise, more mouths to feed. But he looked at, lying there in pain, and he could not walk away. He cleaned her wound with supplies from the pharmacy. He bandaged her arm. He gave her water and food. When she was strong enough to walk, she joined them. "Why did you help me?" asked him one night as they rested in an old barn. "Because that is what humans do," Danny said. "That is what makes us different from them." Looked at Lily, who was sleeping nearby. "Is she your daughter?" Danny was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "She is now." They moved south, toward the mountains. Danny had heard on a radio signal that there were people fighting back in Colorado. The mountains were hard to attack and easy to defend. If there was any hope left, it was there. On the road, they met Pete. He was an old man, over 70 years old, with white hair and hands that were rough from years of hard work. He had been a mechanic his whole life, fixing cars and tractors and anything else that had an engine. Now he lived alone in a hidden bunker he had built under his barn, surviving on canned food and rainwater. Pete let them stay for 3 days. He gave them supplies and a working shortwave radio. The radio picked up signals from the resistance in Colorado. It was real. People were fighting. "You should come with us," Danny told Pete. The old man shook his head. "I am too old to run anymore. This is my home. I will die here if I have to, but you three, you still have a chance. Take that chance." Danny shook Pete's hand. Lily hugged him, said thank you. Then they left, moving south again toward the mountains. As they traveled, they learned more about their enemy. The radio signals told them about the command structure. There was a general named who led the invasion. He was cold and smart, a master of war who had conquered many worlds before Earth. Under him was Commander, who controlled the ground troops, was cruel and took pleasure in hunting humans. But the worst were the hollowed ones. Danny heard about them in whispers on the radio. They were monsters, the signals said, creatures made from the bodies of other alien races that had conquered. They were turned into weapons, made to feel no pain and know no fear. They only sent them to worlds that refused to surrender. Earth was refusing to surrender. Danny kept this information to himself. Lily did not need to know about the hollowed ones. Not yet. One night, a man tried to take their supplies. He was desperate and hungry, and he had a knife. He came at Danny in the dark, thinking he could win. He was wrong. Danny moved faster than the man expected. In seconds, the knife was gone and the man was on the ground. Danny's hands were around his throat. His eyes were cold and empty, like something inside him had turned off. "Please," the man begged. "I just wanted food. I have children." Danny looked at him for a long moment. Then he let go. "Take some food and go," Danny said. "But if you come near us again, I will kill you." The man ran into the night and did not come back. Watch this happen from a distance. Later, she asked Danny about it. "You would have killed him," she said. "I saw your face. You would have done it without thinking twice." Danny nodded. "I would have, if he was a real threat." "That does not scare you." Danny looked at Lily, who was sleeping a few feet away. "No," he said. "What scares me is failing her. Everything else is just noise." Understood then. She understood what kind of man Danny was. He was not a hero from a story. He was something harder and more honest. He was a man who had found the one thing in the world that mattered to him, and nothing would stop him from protecting it. The mountains grew larger on the horizon. They were close now. A few more days of walking, a few more nights of hiding, and they would reach the resistance. Lily walked beside Danny now instead of being carried. She was stronger than she had been 3 weeks ago. The soft child who played with toy rabbits in her backyard was becoming something else, something tougher. She did not complain about the long walks. She did not cry when food ran low. She just kept moving, one step at a time. One night she asked Danny a question. "Are you going to leave me?" Danny stopped walking. He knelt down so he was at her eye level. "Listen to me," he said. "I am never going to leave you, never, not for any reason. Do you understand?" Lily looked into his eyes. She saw something there that she recognized. It was the same look her father used to have when he promised her something important. "I understand," she said. Danny nodded. He stood up and took her hand. "Good," he said. "Now let us keep moving. We are almost there." They walked through the night together, toward the mountains, toward the resistance, toward whatever was waiting for them next. They did not know what they would find. They did not know if they would survive. But they knew they had each other. And for now, that was enough. The resistance base at Echo Ridge was hidden deep in the Rocky Mountains. It was built inside an old mining complex, with tunnels that went far underground. Nearly 3,000 people lived there now. Soldiers, families, doctors, engineers, the last hope of humanity in this part of the world. Danny and Lily arrived on a cold morning in early autumn. Guards met them at the entrance, checked them for weapons, and brought them inside. The tunnels were lit with electric lights powered by generators. People moved everywhere, carrying supplies, fixing equipment, talking in low voices. It smelled like oil and sweat and fear. But it also smelled like hope. Colonel Grace ran the base. She was a tall woman with gray hair cut short and eyes that had seen too much death. She had been a Marine for 30 years before the invasion. Now she was the leader of what remained of the free people in Colorado. She met with Danny that first night. "I have read your file," she said. "Sergeant First Class Danny Vega, 3 tour in Afghanistan, 2 in Syria, Silver Star, Purple Heart. Your unit called you Honey Badger." "Yes, ma'am," Danny said. "I need men like you," Colonel said. "I need soldiers who can fight. We are losing this war, Sergeant. Every day they push us further back. Every week we lose more people. I need every fighter I can get." Danny nodded. "I will fight, but I have one condition." Colonel raised an eyebrow. "What condition?" "The girl," Danny said. "Lily. She stays where I can reach her. I do not take any mission that takes me more than an hour away from her location. If she is ever in danger, I drop everything and go to her. That is not something I will change. Not for you. Not for anyone." The colonel studied him for a long moment. Most commanders would have refused. An army needs soldiers who follow orders, not soldiers who have their own rules. But Grace understood something that other commanders did not. She understood that a man who has something to protect will fight harder than a man who has nothing left. She understood that love makes soldiers stronger, not weaker. "Agreed," she said. "Welcome to the resistance." Danny joined the Special Operations Unit. He went on missions to raid supply lines, to rescue captured survivors, to gather information about enemy movements. He was good at it. He was very good at it. Soon, even soldiers who had been fighting for months started to look up to him. But he always came back to Lily. She lived in a section of the tunnels set aside for children and families, took care of her during the day, teaching her to read better and helping the base doctors with their work. At night, Danny would come and sit with Lily until she fell asleep. He would tell her stories about the outside world, about places he had been, about animals and oceans and mountains. He made her laugh when he could. "Will we ever see the ocean?" Lily asked him one night. "Yes," Danny said. "When this is over, I will take you there, I promise." Lily smiled. She was starting to smile more often now. But the war was not going well. They were getting closer. Their patrols pushed deeper into the mountains every week. General was patient and careful, cutting off supply routes and surrounding the resistance like a snake slowly squeezing its prey. Then came the Battle of Echo Ridge. It started before dawn. They attacked with everything they had. Thousands of soldiers poured into the mountain passes. Warships flew overhead, bombing the outer defenses. General himself commanded the operation from a mobile command center. He wanted to end the resistance in one strike. The fighting was terrible. Danny was on the eastern wall when the first wave hit. He watched friends die beside him. He saw soldiers he had trained disappear in explosions of blue light, but he did not run. He could not run. Lily was in the tunnels below, and the only thing between her and them was this wall. He held his position for 20 minutes alone after the rest of his squad fell. He fought with his rifle until it ran out of bullets. Then he fought with his pistol, then with his knife, then with his bare hands. When reinforcements finally arrived, they found Danny standing in a pile of dead aliens, covered in blood that was not his own, still fighting. But it was not enough. They broke through in the north. The base was falling. Colonel ordered a retreat. Everyone who could move was to fall back through the emergency tunnels and escape into the deeper mountains. Danny ran toward the family section to get Lily. She was not there. The section had been evacuated during the bombing. The children and families had been moved to a different tunnel, but something had gone wrong. Part of the tunnel had collapsed. The group had been split apart. No one knew where Lily was. Danny felt something break inside him. Not his courage, not his will, something else. Something that made him stop being a soldier and start being something more dangerous. Something that made him stop thinking about anything except finding her. For 2 days he searched. He moved through held territory like a ghost. He killed anyone who got in his way. He did not sleep. He did not eat. He did not stop. The other soldiers who saw him during those 2 days did not recognize him. He was not human anymore, they said. He was something else, a force of nature, a storm in the shape of a man. Commander heard reports of this lone human soldier tearing through his forces. At first he did not believe them. One man could not do so much damage, but the reports kept coming. Patrols destroyed, outposts attacked, soldiers killed by someone who moved too fast to see. Became obsessed. He wanted to find this human. He wanted to break him. Danny did not care about. He did not care about the war. He only cared about finding Lily. On the second night he found her. She was hiding in a collapsed building at the edge of a destroyed town. Was with her, wounded from a piece of metal that had cut her leg during the escape. Had kept Lily safe for 2 days, hiding her, protecting her, waiting for Danny to come. Because she knew he would come. Everyone knew he would come. Danny found them just as a patrol was closing in. He killed 6 soldiers in 30 seconds. Then he picked up Lily with one arm and helped stand with the other. "Can you walk?" he asked. "Not fast," she said. "Then I will carry you both." He did. For 12 miles through enemy territory in the dark, Danny carried them both to safety. When they finally reached the surviving resistance members at a hidden camp in the mountains, Danny collapsed. But he did not let go of Lily. Colonel came to see him when he woke up. "How did you do it?" she asked. "How did you survive 2 days behind enemy lines alone with no supplies?" Danny looked at Lily, who was sleeping beside him, her hand holding his. "I told her I would come back," he said, "so I came back." The colonel shook her head in wonder. She had seen many soldiers in her long career. She had never seen anything like Danny Vega. "What are you?" she asked. Danny closed his eyes. "I'm a honey badger," he said, "and that is my kid." He fell asleep with Lily's hand still in his. Outside, the war continued. They were still coming. Worse things were on the way, but in that small tent, a man and a girl held on to each other. And nothing in the universe could make them let go. The message came from the high command, broadcast on all frequencies so that every human could hear it. "Your resistance has been noted," the cold voice said. "We have been patient. We have been merciful, but your world continues to fight. Therefore, we have decided to end this war. The hallowed ones are coming. Pray to whatever gods you believe in. It will not help you." Danny was standing with Colonel and the other leaders when they heard the message. He watched their faces go pale. He watched hope die in their eyes. "What are the hallowed ones?" Lily asked. She had followed Danny to the meeting as she always did. Danny looked down at her. He did not want to tell her, but she deserved the truth. "They are monsters," he said, "made by the from people they conquered. They are big and strong and they do not feel pain. They are used to destroy worlds that will not give up." Lily was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Are we going to give up?" Danny knelt down so he was at her level. "No," he said, "we are never going to give up. Do you understand? No matter what comes." Lily nodded. She did not look scared. She looked like Danny. The hallowed ones arrived 3 days later. They came at night, dropped from ships into the mountains. They were 8 feet tall, with gray skin stretched over metal bones. Their eyes glowed red in the darkness. They had claws instead of hands and teeth made of steel. They had been people once from other worlds they had conquered. Now they were weapons with no memory of who they used to be. The first attack killed 40 people before anyone could respond. The hollowed ones moved through the camp like shadows, tearing apart soldiers with their bare hands. Bullets barely slowed them down. Explosives could hurt them, but there were always more coming. The resistance ran. Danny grabbed Lily and led them into the deep mountains. Other survivors followed. Maybe 200 people made it out of the camp. The rest were killed or taken. Colonel was injured but alive. She led the survivors to an abandoned mine shaft high in the mountains, far from the main trails. It was cold and dark, but it was hidden. For now, they were safe. Days passed, then weeks. The hollowed ones hunted them constantly, searching the mountains, getting closer every day. Food ran low. Water was hard to find. People started to get sick. Danny watched the survivors lose hope. He watched soldiers who had fought bravely break down in fear. He watched children go hungry. He watched Lily grow thin and pale, her cheeks losing their color, her eyes getting bigger in her small face. But he did not break. Every night he sat with Lily and told her stories. Every morning he went out to find food, even when it meant going close to patrols. Every hour of every day he kept fighting, kept moving, kept surviving. One night, Lily asked him the question he had been dreading. "Danny," she said, "are we going to die?" They were sitting in a small cave near the mine shaft, away from the others. Outside, they could hear the distant sounds of the hollowed ones searching the mountains. Danny pulled Lily close to him. He thought about lying to her, but he could not do it. She deserved better than lies. "I do not know," he said. "Maybe. The world is very dangerous right now. Bad things are happening. I cannot promise you that everything will be okay." Lily's eyes filled with tears. Danny held her. "But I can promise you something else," he said. "I can promise you that I will never stop fighting. I will never give up. I will never leave you alone." "Why?" Lily whispered. "Why do you keep fighting?" Danny smiled. It was a tired smile, worn down by weeks of running and fear and death, but it was real. "Have you ever heard of a honey badger?" he asked. Lily shook her head. "A honey badger is a small animal," Danny said. "It lives in Africa. It is not big or strong, but it is the bravest animal in the world. It fights lions. It fights snakes. It fights anything that tries to hurt it or the things it loves, and it never ever gives up. No matter how bad things get, no matter how much bigger the enemy is, the honey badger does not know how to quit." Danny touched Lily's cheek gently. "That is what we are," he said. "You and me. We are honey badgers, and honey badgers do not lose because they do not know how to stop fighting." Lily wiped her eyes. A small spark appeared in them, something like courage. "I'm a honey badger," she said quietly. "Yes, you are," Danny said. "And so am I, and together we are going to survive this. Do you believe me?" Lily nodded. For the first time in weeks, she smiled. "I believe you," she said. The next morning came to Danny with news. She had been watching the hollowed ones for days, studying how they moved and fought. She had noticed something. "They're implants," she said. "The metal parts inside them, they all pulse at the same frequency. I think they are connected somehow, controlled by a signal." Danny listened carefully. "What are you saying?" "I am saying that if we could disrupt that signal, we might be able to stop them. An electromagnetic pulse, tuned to the right frequency. It could shut them down." Hope was a dangerous thing. Danny had seen it destroy people when it was taken away, but he could not ignore what was saying. "Can we build something like that?" Nodded slowly. "Maybe, if we had the right parts, technology, power cells, signal generators, things we do not have." "But to have them," Danny said. "Yes, in their forward bases. But those bases are guarded by hundreds of soldiers. It would be a suicide mission." Danny looked at Lily, who was sleeping nearby. She looked peaceful for the first time in weeks. "I have done suicide missions before," he said. "They have not worked out well for the people who tried to kill me." That night, Danny went alone to raid a forward base 15 miles away. He did not tell anyone except Colonel, and he did not say goodbye to Lily. He could not. He did not want to see her face if he did not come back. The raid was brutal. Danny moved through the base like death itself, silent and unstoppable. He killed guards. He avoided patrols. He found the storage building where the technology was kept and took everything he could carry. Then the alarms went off. For 2 hours, Danny fought his way out of the base. He was shot twice. He was cut by alien blades. He was surrounded 3 times and broke free 3 times. By the end, the soldiers were running from him instead of chasing him. Commander watched the reports come in from his command post. This was the same human who had survived the Battle of Echo Ridge. The same one who had searched for 2 days without stopping, had never seen anything like it. "What are you?" whispered to himself. Danny made it back to the mine shaft at dawn. He was covered in blood and barely able to stand, but he was carrying the parts needed. Colonel met him at the entrance. "You made it," she said, amazement in her voice. Danny dropped the supplies at her feet. He swayed, almost falling. "They should not have gotten between me and my kid," he said. Then he looked over and saw Lily running toward him. She had woken up and heard he was back. She crashed into him, wrapping her arms around him, crying and laughing at the same time. "You came back," she said. "You came back." Danny held her tight, ignoring the pain from his wounds. "I told you," he said, "I am never going to leave you." And for the first time since they met, Danny felt tears on his own face. He was crying too. Watching from nearby, heard what he said next. 2 words spoken so softly that only Lily could hear them. "My kid." Lily heard. She looked up at Danny with wide eyes. Then she smiled, a real smile, full of love and trust in something unbreakable. "My dad," she whispered back. Around them, the survivors began to work on the weapon that might save them all. Outside, the hollowed ones were getting closer. The war was far from over. But in that moment, none of it mattered. Because Danny Vega had found something worth more than victory. He had found his family. The pulse weapon was finished. Had worked on it for 2 weeks, using the parts Danny had brought back from the base. It was not pretty. It was a mess of wires and alien technology and human engineering held together by hope and determination. But when they tested it on a small scale, it worked. The electromagnetic pulse fried electronics within 50 feet. The problem was range. To shut down all the hollowed ones, we need to hit their control signal at the source, explained to the resistance leaders. That signal comes from the command ship in orbit, General's flagship. We need to get this weapon onto that ship and activate it there. Colonel stared at the weapon. "How do we get to a ship in orbit?" "We captured a shuttle 2 months ago," said. "It still works. We can fly it up." Into a ship carrying 10,000 soldiers, with General himself on board. "Yes." The room was silent. Everyone knew what was saying. This was not just a suicide mission. This was flying into the mouth of the dragon. Danny stepped forward. "I will go." Colonel shook her head. "Danny, no, you have done more than anyone. You have the girl to think about." "That is exactly why I am going," Danny said. "If we do not stop the hollowed ones, everyone dies, including Lily. I am not going to let that happen." Stepped forward too. "I will go with him. I built the weapon. I know how to use it." More soldiers volunteered. In the end, 12 people agreed to go on the mission. 12 people willing to die to give humanity a chance. But when Danny went to tell Lily what was happening, she already knew. She was standing at the entrance to the tunnel where they slept, her arms crossed, her face set in an expression Danny knew well. It was his own expression, reflected in a child's face. "You are not leaving me," she said. "Lily, I have to go. This mission could save everyone." "Then I am coming with you." Danny knelt down. "Sweetheart, I cannot take you. It is too dangerous. You could die." Lily's eyes burned with something fierce and unbreakable. If you die up there and I am down here, I will be alone forever. That is worse than dying. You said we are honey badgers. You said honey badgers do not quit. You said wherever you go, I go. Did you lie to me? Danny felt his heart crack. He had said those things. He had meant them. He looked at Lily for a long moment. He saw the little girl he had carried out of the burning town. He saw the child who had walked through hell beside him without complaining. He saw the daughter he had chosen, who had chosen him back. He could not leave her behind. He could not. Okay, he said finally, you come with me. Colonel tried to stop him, tried to stop him. Everyone tried to stop him, but Danny's mind was made up. I did not pick her so I could leave her behind, he said. I picked her because wherever I go, she goes. We win together or we die together. The shuttle launched at midnight. 12 soldiers, 1 paramedic, 1 little girl, and 1 honey badger who refused to quit. They flew up through the atmosphere, past the burning clouds, into the cold darkness of space. The command ship hung above Earth like a metal mountain. It was miles long, bristling with weapons, surrounded by smaller ships. Inside were 10,000 soldiers and the most powerful general in the alien empire. And Danny Vega was going to walk right in. They landed in a docking bay on the lower level of the ship. The fighting started immediately. Soldiers swarmed them from every direction. Danny moved at the front, clearing a path with his rifle, his knife, his bare hands. When Lily could not keep up, he carried her. When she could run, he held her hand. They pushed deeper into the ship. Soldiers fell one by one. By the time they reached the middle levels, only Danny, Lily, and 3 other soldiers remained. Commander found them there. He was waiting in a long corridor, surrounded by his personal guard. He was taller than the others, stronger, with golden armor that marked his rank. He had hunted Danny for months. Now, finally, they were face to face. So you are the honey badger, said, the human who would not die. Danny put Lily behind him. Get to the command center, he told. I will hold him here. Danny, you cannot beat him alone. Go now. Grabbed Lily's hand and ran with the other soldiers. Guards tried to follow, but Danny stepped into their path. What happened next was the hardest fight of Danny's life. Was fast and strong, trained in combat for centuries. He had killed thousands of enemies on dozens of worlds. He was everything Danny was not. But Danny had something did not understand. He had a reason to live. He had a reason to fight. He had a little girl counting on him. The battle lasted 10 minutes. It felt like 10 years. Danny took wounds that should have killed him. He kept fighting. Broke his arm. He kept fighting. Threw him across the corridor like a toy. He got up and kept fighting. Finally, Danny found an opening. He drove his knife into the gap in his armor, into his neck. The commander fell. Impossible, gasped with his last breath. You are just a human. Danny stood over him, broken and bleeding, barely alive. I am not just anything, he said. I am a father. He limped toward the command center. Was already there, setting up the pulse weapon. 3 soldiers stood guard at the door, and in the center of the room, standing calm and cold, was General. He was old with white skin and eyes that had seen the fall of 100 worlds. He looked at Danny without fear, without surprise, only curiosity. You killed my best commander, said. You fought through 10,000 soldiers. You brought a child into a warship. Why? What are you trying to prove? Danny walked toward him, every step agony. Lily ran to his side and took his hand. He squeezed it gently. I am not trying to prove anything, Danny said. I am trying to protect my daughter. Tilted his head. We have conquered hundreds of species. We have broken armies and empires, and you think one child matters. Danny smiled. It was the smile of a man who had nothing left to fear. That is the difference between us, he said. You conquer, you destroy. You think strength is about armies and weapons and fear, but you are wrong. Real strength is about love. It is about the things we hold onto and never let go. You will never understand that, and that is why you are going to lose. He looked at Do It. Activated the pulse. The wave spread out from the weapon, invisible but unstoppable. It ripped through the command ship, frying electronics, shutting down systems. It broadcast down to Earth, hitting every hollowed one on the planet. They stopped moving. They fell. They were finally at peace. The command ship began to fall apart. Lights flickered. Explosions rocked the corridors. General watched his empire crumble around him. "What have you done?" he whispered. "I told you," Danny said. "I'm a honey badger and this is my kid." They escaped in the chaos. Danny carried Lily, helped him walk. They found a working escape pod and launched toward Earth as the command ship broke apart behind them. The invasion was not over in a day, but without their general, without their command structure, without the hollowed ones, they were lost. They had never faced a world that fought this hard. They had never faced a species that loved this much. Within a year, the aliens were gone. The survivors emerged from hiding. Cities began to rebuild. Hope returned to a world that had almost forgotten what it felt like. Danny and Lily stood on a mountainside on the first morning of peace. The sun was rising over a world that was broken but free. Lily held Danny's hand. She was not the same girl she had been when this started. She was stronger, braver, harder, but she was still his daughter. "What happens now?" she asked. Danny looked at her. He thought about everything they had survived. The burning town, the long road, the battles, the monsters, all of it. "Now we live," he said. "Now we build a new home, and I keep the promise I made you." "What promise?" Danny smiled. "I said I would take you to see the ocean, remember?" Lily smiled back. It was the smile she had ever given him. "I remember." They walked down the mountain together, father and daughter, survivor and survivor. Behind them the sun kept rising, filling the world with light. Danny had adopted Lily officially the week before. The paperwork was just a formality. She had been his daughter since the moment he picked her up in that burning backyard, and he had been her father since the moment he decided he would never let go. Against alien armies he had fought. Against generals he had stood. Against monsters he had won. Not because he was the strongest, not because he was not because he was special. Because he was a honey badger who picked a child and never let go. And in the end, that was enough.